is up YouTube? This is AVAULT here, back in today with you guys another new Speed Duel deck profile video. Now if you guys have seen the Speed Duel match the other day of the updated Dark Red Enchanter / Hand Destruction deck versus against the Last Gamble Dark Magician deck on that Speed Duel match video, here is the deck profile for you guys that we featured in playing that deck. Now before we get straight into the deck profile, as always, we're going to do a quick card sleeve review right here with this Endymion spell counters. It's Dark Red Enchanters and spell counters, so it just makes sense to use Endymion, the new Master Magician OCG sleeves, to basically match off our spell counters / whatever magician deck type of that we're playing right here. And also, if you guys really interested in my sleeves, be sure to check out the AVAULT eBay store in the link description down below for these exclusive OCG sleeves that you can only get from Japan, but I've got some for you guys as well if you guys are interested in them, so be sure to check out and purchase it from there as well. So moving right into it, the skill, we are playing Destiny Draw. You guys know what this skill does. You basically get to get any card you want from your deck to your hand if you lose 2,000 or more life points, which is really great, and you can only use once. No, you can actually use it multiple times per duel, but that is every time if you lose 2,000 life points. And a next substitute skill that you guys can use as well is a switcheroo. Switcheroo might work a little bit better as well, depending on really what your whole playstyle and goal is, which there are some situations where I feel like, oh, switcheroo would be really handy, but Destiny Draw is just very, very standard, and since it's like a magician's deck, I just thought mine as well. But also, you guys can see from the versus video that we played against, we didn't even have to use a skill, so this deck can operate very powerfully without a skill in general even, I have to say. So moving into our monsters, we are playing the boss monsters, Dark Red Enchanter right here, 3 of those. Basically, you just need to tribute 1 monster to summon it for 1700 attack, but it does gain up to 600 attack, making a 2300 beater on the summon, but with a really nice effect as well. You basically remove 2 spell counters from this monster to basically discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand. It gains 300 attack for each spell counter on it. That's basically how it gets up to the 2300. We play 3 of, no less, no more. Well, we can't play more, but no less at all, because you want to see this card as soon as possible. It's your key boss monster, your winning condition, your powerhouse attacker, as well as the card rip offer. Not the card rip offer, I mean the hand destroyer, the boss hand destroyer of your opponent's hand. And next we do play 3 Legion Fiend Jester, basically to bring out Dark Red Enchanter immediately, because it allows us to normal summon in addition to the turn that we normal summon this card. So basic combo, you summon this monster immediately, it allows you to tribute it to special, not to special summon, but to normal summon Dark Red Enchanter, gaining its 2 counters as well, which is really, really powerful. A really, really good 2-card combo already. And because we do play Legion Fiend Jester, we do play 1 Rogue Dog, which allows us to search, be searched by Legion Fiend Jester, either from the deck or from the graveyard. Just a 1-of is all you need, because you just keep recurring Rogue Doll, and it just makes sense to basically have it, because you don't want to miss out on the second effect for the card advantage or whatever you can use for Rogue Doll. It's still got decent stats, 1600 attack. Next, last but not least, for the monsters, the new addition of this Hand Destruction. To complete this Hand Destruction deck, basically we're playing 3 Donzalukes right here. So basically it's a warrior, it's not a spellcaster, not a magician of any sort, but it has a Hand Destruction or like a milling ability, which really completes this whole Hand Destruction combo, or like a hand destructing type of deck, which really cheesy way sometimes, which basically in other words means that your opponent can't even play or follow up with any additional if they don't have any additional resources, because you're basically mitigating any cards on their hand, which basically means they can't play the game almost sometimes. And yeah, you guys can see from the versus duel, this card works out very well along with this deck, although it's a warrior. But when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you activate 1 of the effects. You can discard 1 random card from their hand, or send the top 2 cards from their deck to the graveyard. The only counter to the second effect is really just Despair from the Dark. Nothing really pops off or activates by being discarded with Donzalu's effect. So it's just really, really powerful. Next we play triple Night Beams, and I'll explain why we don't play Dust Tornadoes. There's always a different stand on where to play Night Beams or Dust Tornadoes. Sorry, I forgot to mention, we're moving on to the spells. This is the monster lineup already. So yeah, for the spells we are playing 3 Night Beams rather than Dust Tornadoes at all. We don't play Dust Tornadoes in this deck. First of all, it's a back row removal. Secondly, it's a spell, and it works very well with Dark Red Enchanter whether if it's summoned onto the field or before it's even brought onto the field. So the first reason is why is because Night Beam stops your floodgates and it stops your opponent's floodgates, so that when you summon Dark Red Enchanter, you can go full on aggressive and very quickly, and to bring him out safely and not get floodgated. Even though this monster gets floodgated, it still has decent defense stats. It's got very high defense stats, actually, higher than its attack for a monster with what it is. So it's really great as well, but you don't want it to get floodgated. You want to utilize its spell counter effect to get more attacks, attack power into it, or to rip off cards from your opponent's hand. That's really the key point. Now, let's say if you do have Dark Red Enchanter on the field already safely, playing Night Beam afterwards is still really great because it adds up more spell counters onto it. You want to play as many spells as you can. That's the reason why we play Night Beam, and we don't play, and we play a 3-of. Next, we play 2 Bashing Shields, and I have explained in the Speed Duel match why this card is so good, so key in this deck. Once again, it works very well because first again, it combos with Dark Red Enchanter, it increases its attack, as well as giving it another spell counter. And now there's always often situations when you play Dark Red Enchanter, you feel like you don't want to reduce your spell counters because you're lowering its attack and you're making it kind of worse. I mean, not worse, but like you're kind of giving yourself a disadvantage by lowering its attack up to 17, because 17 does make it much easier to beat against. So that's the reason why I play Bashing Shield. It boosts up to at least a 2700. It gives it another spell counter, so you can use those spell counters to basically rip off cards from your opponent's hand once again. So that the whole goal is hand destruction. Next, it doesn't only just combo well with Dark Red Enchanter, it combos all well with this entire deck. None of this deck doesn't special summon at all, so all monsters work with Bashing Shield because Bashing Shield can only be equipped to normal summon or /set monsters, and it works well with Dawn Zaluk. It boosts up to 2400 attack, so then you can utilize its effects to discard cards or mill cards off your opponent's hand. Dawn Zaluk is very weak by itself. It's got very low stats, and the monster by itself, despite being an ultra rare, is really just not that great. I have to be honest with you guys. And with Bashing Shield, it makes it much more powerful and playable even. So even if you don't play Dark Red Enchanter, all you need is Dawn Zaluk and Bashing Shield, you're basically good to go. I might even consider adding another Bashing Shield because of this, but I didn't want my hand to become too bricky because of that and ending up like with so many Bashing Shields, which I don't really need in times. But that basically rounds off for the spells right here, 5 spells. And then we're going to move on to the next 5 traps. Next, for the traps, we do play 3 of the Light Force Sword. So we are not playing the best trap card in the game. We're not playing Floodgate Trapo, because the whole goal of this deck is to basically hand destroy your opponent as soon as possible. You want to deplete their resources, whether you're going first or going second. Say if you're going first, you can actually start basically setting up your cards to basically set this card, activate your opponent's next turn, and basically rip a card off from their hand. Now, I talked about this card briefly in the versus match as well, but this card is highly underrated and very unanticipated, or can't be anticipated easily by your opponent. It really surprises them. Basically what it does is it banishes 1 random card from your opponent's hand face down, so you don't know what it is, but during your opponent's 4th standby phase after this card's activation, return that card to their hand. So they do return it eventually, but it's 4 standby phases of your opponents. And that basically almost equivalents to at least 7 to 8 turns. And now think about speed duels. Turns don't last that long unless they're playing a stall deck. And honestly, if they aren't playing a stall deck, this completely just wrecks them, because like 4 turns is so long that they will even not, like in most of the duels you guys can see in the speed duel match, you don't even get that card back even. So essentially this is equivalent to getting rid of a card, it gets rid of a card from their hand, and the duel has even ended before they can even get that card back, which makes it very powerful. Now of course, if duels do last that long, this card becomes less effective, but you're still removing a card off a hand that they're not making them playable, or maybe like negating an access to a resource that they really need. And even sometimes pulling a really key card that they have on their hand just completely changes the situation, despite it being random as well. It's a little bit of luck, but just so you guys know, this is very important in this deck. Next, we do play the Forceful Checkpoints. Same reason, we're trying to discard as many cards off our opponent's hand. When your opponent's monster declares an attack, look at your opponent's entire hand, which is really good because you get to see what their upcoming plays are, and if there's a monster, negate the attack and discard one monster from their hand, your choice. Now I would even want to play 3 of, if you guys want. Instead, you can play 3 of these and then switch out to 2 Life Force Swords instead. I just felt Life Force Sword was more direct and directly to the point to address the problem, but although Forceful Checkpoint works just as well. So, but I like these ratios. It worked out very well for me, honestly. And that basically rounds off for the entire main deck, which is a 20 card deck. And you guys can totally see this is just all cards to basically rip out of your opponent's hand. As I mentioned so many times in this video and in the speed duel match, you basically want to deplete their resources all the time. And this deck can go first and second, which works very nicely for both. And it is a 20 card main deck, just so you guys know. So moving into our side deck, I did mention in the speed duel match there's an interesting package I play. If you guys don't want to play Don Zalug and realize it's kind of not as great as it was, you guys can move back to the classic spell counter package right here. So this is the side deck, just 3 Apprentice Magicians and 3 Spell Power Grasps to really just focus more on Dark Red Enchanter. And if your opponent is playing a lot of like high attacking powerhouse monster cards and you really need to kind of sort of stall a little bit, playing Apprentice Magician can really greatly help to basically help you play defensively and until you gather resources back as well. So this is like the classic spell counter deck, moving back where it's like an engine you can easily swap out. So cards you can easily swap out is Don Zalug for 3 of the Apprentice Magicians, so you're playing back to pure Magicians. And then for the Spell Power Grasps, you can easily just take out 2 Life Force Swords if you want to go for more of the spell power plays. And now you're playing a lot more spell cards, so that when you have a Dark Red Enchanter, you're just very powerful, and you can stack up the attacks for Dark Red Enchanter to become very high and make it very hard to deal with for your opponent. So that's sort of the other strategy to play this deck, and it's totally my own personal opinion. It works out as well. I play tested a couple of times with other decks, and switching this engine just really surprises your opponent because they kind of expect you to, oh, okay, I kind of get what you're trying to do. You're trying to destroy my hand, and then in game 2 you swap this in, and it turns out that to be that you're suddenly a very aggressive hand destruction deck becomes a much more controlled, slow-paced, not slow-paced, but a mediocre pace, average pace deck now, all of a sudden, which they can't really see. They find it weird why you're setting cards as well, setting monsters as well now all of a sudden, and it just really gets them guessing and really like disrupts the flow of their thinking and strategy. And then moving into a game 3, potentially you can switch around back again, so they basically would have to see and rethink before they attack and go aggressive on you overall. So we do have an extra deck, but there's no reason. We don't play Waking the Dragon, but just because, just to show your opponent that you have an extra deck, we're just playing 3 of whatever fusion monsters, honestly. It doesn't matter what these plays, just treat these cards as just fusion monsters. Play any 6 in your extra deck so that your opponent just knows that, oh, okay, he has an extra deck. They might respect the fact that you might be siding in Waking the Dragon just by any odd chances overall. So yeah, that basically rounds off this entire deck profile. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this deck. I think it's very interesting. It's very rarely played, but it's also very powerful as well, I promise you guys. And it's very interesting and fun as well, being able to rip the cards off your opponent's hands, just destroying their hand. That's why hence I give it a sub name, or like a secondary name, the Hand Destruction deck. There are some duels where we just completely wipe out their opponent's hands and they just can't play at all, and we just win from there, like completely. And it's just absolutely amazing and how powerful this deck is. So yeah, once again, if you guys enjoyed the deck profile, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the AVAULT channel for more awesome speed duel content. Use my deck profile here as a resource base for your deck building. Let me know in the comment section down below what other cards you guys might suggest or add or take away. You know, totally open to all your feedback and really appreciate it. And I would really greatly appreciate it if you guys should share the channel out there with your friends or family who are also interested in speed duels mainly, as well as any Yu-Gi-Oh regular TCG openings that we do here on the channel as well. So yeah, once again, be sure to share that with your friends and family or siblings, whoever that plays speed duels with you. I would really appreciate that as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. Stay tuned for the next video, and this is AVAULT signing out.